city as well. What's the secret to your success?
You know what? Probably not being from New York is part of my secret. And being from Philadelphia, which is sort of like a small town in a way. It's a city, but a small town. And I always make the comparison. Back in the old days of Broadway, they would take the Broadway shows and they try them out in Philly. Philadelphia was the tryout city.
David Merrick could be down there, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of my ideas were incubated there, and it was a pretty solid, almost middle America kind of audience. And I got my response, and it was the same customers over and over again. And I think I sort of honed my craft in Philadelphia, and now we're launching it to New York and, of course, the rest of the country.
Talk to me about what it is. Is there one central ingredient that is always present in a successful restaurant?
Well, I mean, I think the answers are obvious. I mean, good food. Should be great food, but it doesn't have to be great. It needs to be good. Good service, and something that has been peculiar to my brand has been the environment, the ambiance, which I have paid a special attention to the design, and I think much of that is my background being pretty much a frustrated filmmaker or television producer.
So the restaurants, in a way, are sets to evoke a certain mood, to envelop the diner in an experience?
It has been my opinion, and it's changing a little bit now in this next decade, that restaurants are really sets. It's theater. You're going out. It's a big thing to go out, especially if you have kids, babysitter, parking. So I believe that you need more than food. You need a complete environment. And I think my restaurants have been that, a theatrical experience to an extent. Very careful not to be themey or hokey. And that's sort of been my mantra for years. I think now, my new way of looking at it, it's still a theater, but I think it needs to be more low-key. I think people want to be much more casual now.
So not overwhelmed by it? I mean, or is it, when you say casual, is it that they can show up more casually dressed, or that the environment just is a little, what do you mean precisely?
I think right now that the next wave of restaurant design will be more easy, not a lot of stuff going on, not a lot of obvious design elements, very design elements that you don't realize are designed, but they're just there.
So they're having an impact on you, but you're not going, oh, look at this or look at that.
Yes, you sort of, it's subliminal, the design, and I think that's sort of the direction that I'm going in personally with the next generation of restaurants.
Is that something that you make a conscious effort? You look at, say, the economy or you know, people's conditions, and you say, well, these are tougher times, or is it, I mean, is it something from the gut?
I think it's from the gut, and it's more or less like music. It's a cycle, all right? There was heavy metal, and then there's this, and then there's that, and then it all comes back. Like right now, music, I make many analogies to music in the restaurant business. You know, Amy Winehouse has now made R&B popular again, and you see a slew of young 20-something R&B acts. Well, that's from the 60s,
yeah.
You know, so it's whatever, it all comes back again.
When you have existing big-time restaurants and things are changing, do you feel the need to change them as well?
You do feel a need to change the restaurants, but you're always so careful not to, because people are creatures of habit, and they love that particular dish, and they love the way that feels. And if you change something, like Budokan in Philadelphia, for instance, we try and change some of the signature items, and there's a mutiny. So there's a balance. Some people want the comfort of knowing it's going to be the same all the time, but at a certain point, you got to recognize things will change and people will tire of it. So it's a special little thing in your gut. You have to feel, you have to know when to do it.
And when you take something like that and move it or transplant it or expand it to another city, it's different city, different values, different tastes?
Yes, and Budokan in Philadelphia has been open for 10 years.
Yep.
Its anniversary is coming up right now. When I came to New York 2 years ago, I couldn't do the same thing because it had already been done in Philly and in New York. Tal in New York, for instance, copied Budokan in Philadelphia. So
you had to raise the bar. Let's take our first break, come back and talk about that and your extraordinary expansion as well. Back with Stephen Starr in a moment. Don't go away.